Here we go, page 3. This is probably going to be the last one for today. We'll finish up tomorrow, I guess. I don't know. All right. Number 4. That doesn't seem right. My numbers are way off. It's fine. ABCD is a rhombus. All right. What does that tell us? Again, a rhombus. We know the definition of a rhombus is all four sides are congruent. All right. It's a parallelogram, so we get all of those properties for free. Now, kind of a bonus property for a rhombus was that the diagonals are perpendicular. So in this problem, it says, hey, angle 1 is 6 times x minus 2. Well, we also know that angle 1 is a right angle. It's 90 degrees. So that's kind of the setup here. We know angle 1 equals 90 degrees. All right. Angle 1 is expressed by 6 times x minus 2. So let's set those two equal to each other. All right. So we have 6 times x minus 2 equals 90. All right. So there's a couple ways you could go from here. If you want to distribute, that's fine. All right. So you say 6x minus 12 equals 90. Add the 12 over. We're going to say 6x equals 102. All right. And then x equals something. All right. I don't know what that is. 10, 20. What's up? You want a cameo on my video here?
Oh, you're starting a video or you?
Yeah. 17. Mr. Spezio's in here, guys. Hang on, let me pause this.
On video.
Honors geometry. I'll pause it. Hang on. We had to figure out our plans for the Battlehawks games. Very important. Uh, where was I? I think we're done with that one. All right, x was 17. Right, so again, the idea is those diagonals are perpendicular, therefore angle 1 is 90 degrees. Solve this equation and go from there. Now, another way you could have done this problem, all right, let's just go ahead and, for the sake of, doing it. Remember, this is 6 times x minus 2. All right, so how do you kill times? You divide. All right, so if you want to, instead of distributing, divide the 6. All right, sometimes this is a better way of solving it. You don't have to do this, but it's not a bad idea. All right, you got x minus 2 is going to equal 15 here. All right, and then just add the 2 over, and you got x equals 17. Right, so whichever way you want to do doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer. All right. On to part B. Part B. Remember, the definition of a rhombus are all four sides are congruent. So I know in this case, AB is congruent to BC. So I can just set those expressions equal to each other. So you got 15y minus 12 equals 5y plus 8. All right. And then solve it. So 10y equals something. 10y equals 20. Therefore, y is 2. Um, let's see here. Y is 2. This one, we're going a step further, right? They are asking us to solve for AB. What is the length of AB? Plug it in. All right, 15 times 2 minus 12. 15 times 2 is 30. You got 30 minus 12. 30 minus 12, of course, is 18. So AB has a side length of 18. Now, if I really wanted to throw you off on this problem, I would have probably asked for like, what is the length of DC? All right, and that really kind of tests your knowledge of, all four sides being congruent because I don't have an expression for DC, but I know I could have just plugged it into either one of those and it would have given us that answer. All right, so watch out. I think there could be something like that on your test, maybe. All right. So for, all 10 of you who actually watched this videos, there's a tip. All right. If each figure is a rectangle, find the values of the variables. So again, what do we know about a rectangle? A rectangle, the definition of a rectangle is for a quadrilateral or four-sided shape with four 90-degree angles. All right. So again, we know that this guy, this 9x equals 90. All right, that is a right angle. Divide both sides by 9. You got x is 10. All right. Now, every single rectangle is a parallelogram. We know parallelograms have opposite sides that are congruent. So we can set these two equal to each other. So we got 7y plus 16 equals 12y plus 6. All right, subtract the 7, subtract the 6. We're going to have 10 equals something. I want to say 5. 10 equals 5y. Divide both sides by 5. You're going to get y equals 2. All right. So again, this chapter, the algebra is not, terribly difficult. It's just, using these properties and knowing, what to do. All right. So again, we have a rectangle. So these two angles here, I don't know what they are individually, but I know if I add them together, it's going to equal 90. So let's do that. I got 3x plus 2x plus, I think that's a 10. Yeah, 2x plus 10, right, equals 90. All right. And solve it. You got 5x. I'm going to subtract the 10 over 5x equals 80. Divide both sides by a 5. I think it's 16. We'll go with 16. X equals 16 on that one. All right. Now, if I wanted to find those angles, I could plug it back in and figure it out. I don't really care what they are. I just wanted to know what X was. Now, the diagonals in a rectangle are congruent. So I know that this entire piece equals this entire piece. But since it's also a parallelogram, I know that the diagonals bisect each other. So it turns out all 4 of these are going to be congruent. Excuse me, I only care about the top 2. I got 5y minus 5 equals 3y plus 11. Do some algebra. 2y equals 16. Therefore, y equals an 8. All right, that one's done. All right, so on this top one, we had a rhombus, then we had a rectangle, right? So depending on what type of shape it is, that is going to affect, these setups here. All right, last one, square. Now, nice thing about a square is everything was equal. All right, so all 4 sides are equal. All 4 of those parts on the inside are going to be equal. What else can we say? All 4 corners are going to be equal. So let's start with the easiest one, y. Y equals 90. All right, so in a square, the diagonals are perpendicular. Remember, a square is like all the properties of a rectangle and all the properties of a rhombus kind of, mixed and matched together. So a rhombus, the diagonals are perpendicular. In a square, the diagonals are perpendicular. All right, so that's kind of the easy way to figure out y. Now, x, if you just remember it's 45 degrees, that's obviously going to be the easiest one. But I mean, we could get there pretty easily if we kind of rely on some old stuff. So this right here is an isosceles triangle, right? We know that all 4 of these kind of smaller diagonal pieces are congruent. So I see a 90 degree and I see an x degree. So maybe I forget that it's 45 degrees. All right, I could still make an equation here and I could say, all right, well, x plus 90 equals 180 degrees, right? I know since it's an isosceles triangle, we have to have 2 congruent angles. So you could say 2x equals 90, therefore x equals 45, right? Another way we could get there is we know, oh, it's a rhombus. Okay, so these diagonals bisect this corner angle. We know that entire corner is 90 degrees, so we chop it in half, we're going to get a 45, right? So, remembering those properties, it has all the properties of a rhombus, all the properties of a rectangle. You should just be able to get right off the bat that x is 45 and y is 90. All right, but if you do forget, all right, there are other ways to kind of get there. All right, and last one, z here. It's a square, so we know that those sides are going to be congruent. So I get z squared minus 10 equals, I'm going to go ahead and distribute that. So I got 6z, what do we got, plus 6. All right, I got a z squared. I got some numbers. I got a z. I'm just going to put everything on one side. Right, this is a factoring equation or a factoring problem. Minus 6z minus 16. There you go. All equals 0. Let's go ahead and factor this. Remember, you always, God, I feel like I say this 100 times. You always multiply it to the ends. All right, what times what is z squared? That's going to give us z times z. What times what is 16? All right, so If you just want to think about it, your factors of 16, you got 1 and 16. You got 4, and how about 2 and 8? And then you got 4 and 4. When we add these factors together, we want to get a 6 somehow. So the only way for us to get a 6 here is with the 2 and the 8. All right? We want a -6. So that means the bigger of these two numbers needs to be the -1. All right, so I'm going to make the 8 negative and the 2 positive. All right, there you go. That is fully factored. Now, that's always the hard part. Don't skip the easy part. Z plus 2 equals 0. Z minus 8 equals 0, right? And then solve both of these. All right, you got Z equals -2, and you got Z equals a +8. All right, so we have to figure out which one of these is going to work, which one is not going to work. Sometimes they both work, sometimes none of them work. All right, so let's plug it in. 6 times -2 plus 1 is 6 times -1, which is -6. All right, you can't have a negative side length, so Z equals -2 is out. All right, don't erase it, just put an X through it. All right. The next one here, this is going to be 6 times 8 plus 1, which is going to be 6 times 9, which gives us 54. If I go up top here, I'm going to have 8 squared minus 10. 8 squared is 64, minus 10 gives us 54. All right, so Z equals 8 is the correct answer here. All right, and that was the last problem. I got 2 more pages. Looks like we're going to have some graphing on the next one, and then some proofs. All right, so we'll hit those in the next video. So gotta figure out how to close this. All right, see you in the next one.